What's up? This is Jay Joshua, and let's jump in. So if you haven't heard, there has been a lot of rumors surrounding the development of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. I would like to point out that most of the rumors on the PS5 side has been false, and people who have made the statements have come out and stated that they were trying to even the playing field. But as recently as yesterday, an actual insider who knows the developers on both sides has come out to talk about what the developers have been telling him. Before we talk about what he stated, I'd like to show you a video of him speaking on the topic.
There are two ways to look at this. First of all, I can tell you every single developer I've spoken to developing for PlayStation 5 has been evangelizing how easy it is to work for. It's essentially the same development environment as PlayStation 4, and you scale up from there for the new power, the new features and whatnot. I can't stress enough how happy developers seem to be with this situation. Now, specs-wise, Xbox Series X, there's been a lot of conjecture about how, Sony's boost clock brings it into contention against Series X. How bafflingly to me, how a solid-state storage drive with higher bandwidth is going to make for better graphics. If you look at the numbers, there is simply no doubt that the Xbox Series X is, on paper, the more powerful machine. However, again, speaking to developers, the development environment that they're dealing with, some people seem to be extremely happy with it. Other people are having problems with it. Because they've moved away from what was previously the XDK, which was specific for Xbox, to the GDK, which is a more general development environment for PC and for Xbox, and even Xbox One is encompassed by the GDK.
So basically, in layman's terms, he's saying the exact same thing that Cory Borlaug said. The new PlayStation 5 development process is extremely similar to the PS4's, and he was pretty excited about that. And now, Richard has come out and basically stated the same thing, that developers don't have to try and relearn a new system to make new games. Basically, the development for the PS5 is the same as PS4, except everything is boosted, which makes games for Sony more easily streamlined. So we can expect Sony to be dropping games faster than Microsoft, at least for the first 2 or 3 years, especially since Microsoft wants to focus on cross-gen, which only adds more time to their development process. This is why it is probably smart for Microsoft to actually focus on Game Pass and streaming, so Xbox players have something to play with while they wait for games. I feel like this is actually kind of a sad situation for a little while, because we can expect delayed games if fans feel like the games deserve more polish. The first example will be Halo, and how that was a release date game and now it's slated for 2021. But moving on to even better news, as we all know, Sony and our favorite retailers fumbled the pre-orders for the PS5, and of course, Sony took most of the blame. They have come out and issued an apology, and recently, they've stated that the PS5 orders will go out this week. Now, to avoid missing out on getting a PS5 again, you should follow the Wario64 on Twitter, because he's usually up on things like this, and literally most of the people who are following him now are following him for information and notifications for when the PS5 pre-orders go back up. The second place that you want to look into is Stock Informer. It's a website that you can register to that will notify you when the PS5 is back in stock, and they will notify you about which retailers have stock and which ones don't. And don't shy away from making accounts with all the retailers that you might buy the PS5 from. Best Buy, Walmart, etc., etc. That way, you don't have to worry about putting your card in and yada, yada, yada. And next thing you know, it's too late to even get the console, or the console you put in your car has been taken out. You need to be ready to hit the buy button so you can be all set, because regular gamers are not the only ones trying to get the console. And casual gamers are not either. There are scalpers online using bots to buy these consoles in bulk and up the prices to sell them back to people who can afford higher prices, which dwindles stocks badly. That's why you can look online and find a PS5 around $1,000 already. So make sure you get prepared or you might miss out. Moving on to good news for Xbox. Microsoft has recently acquired Bethesda Studios for $7.5 billion, which gives them the licenses to games like Doom, Dishonored, Fallout, The Evil Within, Wolfenstein, Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls, Morrowind, Prey, Quake, and all of these titles are actually pretty big titles, so this is a good thing for Microsoft Microsoft to help with their exclusives. I do find it interesting that Xbox fans are using this to talk about Sony fans, saying stuff like, oh, you guys lost, and they're punching the air, and yada, yada, yada. Well, we haven't actually seen any of Microsoft's versions of these games, and a lot of other Microsoft fans are actually scared that they might ruin them because of what they've been doing with Halo and other titles that are actually theirs. I really don't mind that they bought Bethesda. They bought other studios that I actually really like, one being Ninja Theory, which is one of my favorite studios. I do wish they would develop some new IPs from the ground up, because knowing me, I'll probably wait till I feel like I want to expand my gaming experience before I buy the actual Xbox to play any of these games. But all in all, if they can do well with these games and make them better experiences, they'll all be welcome Xbox exclusives. But I do find it interesting again that when Xbox buys a whole studio, it's a celebration. But when Sony makes characters exclusive, everybody's crying anti-consumer. It's anti-consumer this, anti-consumer bad. I mean, literally all the exclusive stuff that's come out that wasn't Sony produced directly has been labeled anti-consumer. But when Xbox buys whole studios filled with gaming licenses that's been on all consoles for years, it's a celebration. But hey, that's just what I see. Okay, moving on to the Avengers patch. If you are one of the early buyers of the Marvel's Avengers, then I have good news for you. Marvel's Avengers is getting a huge patch. I mean, if you look at the list online, it is extremely long. It will be fixing over 1,000 issues, so that'll be good because it'll be curing glitches from art and animation to user interface to multiplayer, matchmaking, and etc., etc. And bonus news before we leave off, there has been a leak of the Sony Xperia 2 online, and everybody's trying to figure out where did this come from and what was Sony planning to do with it. The image seems really official enough at least to get everyone talking. If you don't know what the Sony Xperia is, it was a phone from back in the day that was basically a lower end PSP. You basically had Sony games at your fingertips but through a phone screen, and even had a little slide part to have the D-pad and buttons on. It didn't work out. They were a little too ahead of their time. It would have worked better in this day and age, and that's why everybody's curious about this obviously older model being released from the factory or taken from the factory or however the person got it, because that could mean that Sony had plans for a second one and can still have plans for a second one if they were planning to destroy these. Or it can be just a fever dream that PlayStation fans are all sharing. Either way, it's just a cool little nick of information that we all can gossip about. But that's all for the news for Monday, September 21st. I'm Jay Joshua, and y'all have a good one.